ABC. This is Dave, and this video's for Jeff Kempin's contest that he's got. It's a pretty easy one to do, so I thought I'd enter. I've seen his videos and I really haven't commented much on Jeff's videos, but I'll watch them from time to time, and he's got a real natural way that he presents himself in his videos, and I particularly like the video that he did when he was at work, and I believe he was responding to another contest video. I believe it was to Mark, where he was showing where he worked, and where he was, up in a tower and looking out, over the place where he worked. I thought that was a pretty interesting video. But what Jeff was wondering in his contest, he has 3 questions, and I'll leave a link below. So if you want to enter, you can do that. And the first one was show the first show a debut album that you really like. And for me, it's kind of a toss-up, but I think really this album here, the debut album by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, would probably be mine. I bought this. I'm a child of the 60s. I kind of grew up in 68, 69, 70, in that era, and bought this when it first came out, and was, I knew about the Buffalo Springfield, which is where, well, I knew about all these bands. Buffalo Springfield was where Stephen Stills came from, and Graham Nash, of course, came from the Hollies, and then you've got David Crosby from the Byrds. But I knew all of those bands, before this album came out, and I don't know if I read a review of it, or if I just saw the album cover and was just taken by the album cover, which I may have been, and just because that's how you did a lot of things back then. You didn't have much to go on, you didn't have computers, and actually maybe they were playing Sweet Judy Blue Eyes on the radio back then. That may have been my impetus to pick this up. And then shortly after this album came out, of course, the movie Woodstock came out, and I went to the cinema and caught the movie as well, and really loved their set that they did on Woodstock. But this has like a Sweet Judy Blue Eyes on it. And actually, no, it wasn't Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, it was Marrakesh Express, I think, that they were playing on the radio back then, which I really liked. And I believe was penned by Graham Nash. But it also has Guinevere and Wooden Ships, which I believe was penned by David Crosby. And I mean, like all the songs on it are really classic songs. And if you don't have the album, it's well worth picking up. I still listen to it today, and it's 40 plus years down the road, something like that. Great album. His second question was show a CD that was the toughest to get for my collection, and it's not so much a CD or a record, for me anyway, that was the toughest to get for my collection. It's actually a DVD, and it's this one by Genesis, which is their 2007 concert DVD, When in Rome. And at one time, I don't think Netflix doesn't have this anymore, but back when I don't know, early, and when Netflix had started up, they had this that you could rent off of their the hard disk subscription, and I rented the hard disk of it and was immediately taken by the concert. It came in a 2 DVD edition and also a 3 DVD edition. This happens to be the 3 DVD edition, which was the one I was wanting. Now I have to do this where it won't fall out because the discs in here are kind of loose due to the way that they're you've got these 2 discs here. One is the concert and one is the you know, about all the guys in the band talking about, you know, Genesis past and what it took to put this concert on. And then you got this one DVD here also. It's kind of a behind the scenes DVD and a little booklet that comes with it. And that's kind of what the stage show looks like. I thought it looked fairly surreal actually. But the concert itself was really good, and of course, you know, it's just the 3 remaining members, Tony Banks, Phil Collins, and Mike Rutherford on bass, these guys right here. And they had another guy that was helping them as well during that concert. But if you've never really seen this concert, it's a shame. I think this is deleted now, but unless you can find a bootleg of it somewhere. But if you're a Genesis fan, it's well worth seeking out for sure. I was real happy when I found this copy myself. So anyway, this was one of the things that I wanted to add to my collection, and I was really happy to get it. As far as vinyl, I've got this here, which is sort of a rare and hard to find vinyl. This is Jean Dubuffet's. He is a French artist, and this is on the Finadar record label. It's called Musical Experience, and Jean Dubuffet is an artist, mostly you know, visual art, but evidently dabbles in you know, music as well. This is like experimental musical concrete, and Jean Dubuffet, I don't know if he coined the term, but he was into the whole art brut movement, which is also goes by the name of outsider art. And anyway, that's what this is. This is kind of noise and experimental, free musical improv. And yeah, I was lucky. I was just crate digging. There's the Finadar label, record label thing. But I was crate digging and found this, and was like, wow, I can't believe I found this thing. So anyway, there's that. And here's another one that I kind of had my eye on, but it's only because there's the whole kind of mythology behind this album. If you can find the right one, you know, it's worth a lot of money. This happens to be a bootleg. This was the Beatles' initial release before their American releases, and it has all the hallmarks of, you know, the expensive album, but it's a bootleg. And you can go on Discogs and read up on this album and see all the different variations and everything. You know, it even has the supposedly, if you got the album cover with the columns, 2 columns, and you've got Love Me Do and P.S. I Love You over here, which this one album has. But then that there's also like hallmarks that show that it's a bootleg, and one of them is if you've got the album title here, right here, introducing the Beatles, and then you've got the record hole separated by the Beatles band name right here underneath it, and that would be the sign that it's a bootleg. So at least that's what I've been able to discern from it all. You know, so I think I've got a bootleg copy. But at either rate, you know, this album's kind of fun to have, and there are all kind of little signs that point to whether you got a bootleg or not. One of them is like if you got an album cover and George Harrison is on it right here, and he doesn't have the shadow over here. The shadow's missing, although I've got the shadow on this cover, so it must be a pretty good bootleg. But if the shadow is missing, it's also noted as a bootleg. But at any rate, it's you know, whether, you know, even if it is a bootleg, it's still fun to have for that reason. And then Jeff was wanting to know what is an album you listen to now that's from a genre you don't really, you know, listen to that much anymore. And I used to enjoy punk music, some punk rock back in the day. I don't really care for it that much now. It's just just not to my taste, so I've kind of moved on. But also a lot of you know, new wave. And however, I'll still pick up this album from time to time and listen to it. This is Magazine's first album, Real Life. It has Howard Devoto in it, which is their lead singer right here, who also used to be in the band The Buzzcocks. But I don't know, I've always liked the album cover for one thing, but the you know, for being a new wave album, it has a certain avant-garde nature to it that appeals to me. The tunes are real weird, and the you know, the lyrics are real weird as well. And so yeah, I'll still listen to this album every once in a while. It has kind of almost a little bit of a proggy nature to it as well. So there you go, Jeff. I just wanted to enter your contest, and I hope you get a lot of entries, and keep making your videos. They're fun to watch. We'll talk to you later.